Hi there, and welcome back to Easy Peasy English, the podcast where we make learning English simple, encouraging, and focused on what really matters, your confidence and your voice. I'm so glad you're here with me today. Whether you're listening while taking a walk, doing your chores, or just relaxing for a few minutes, thank you for choosing this moment to grow your English and grow your mindset, too. Today's episode is something many learners need to hear but often forget: celebrate your English progress. Now I know, that might sound a little strange at first. Celebrate? Isn't there still so much left to learn? Still so many mistakes you make? Still so far to go? Yes. But that's exactly why celebration matters. So many English learners focus only on what they can't do yet. They look at their weak points. The words they forget. The grammar they haven't mastered. And they tell themselves, I'm not good enough yet. I have to keep pushing. And while it's great to be motivated, that constant pressure can wear you down. It can make you feel like you're never doing enough, like your progress doesn't count until you reach some final destination called fluency. But guess what? There's no exact finish line. And your progress already deserves to be seen, and celebrated, right now. Because the truth is, every step you've taken so far is proof of your commitment. You didn't give up when things got hard. You didn't stop when you were tired. You kept going, even when it felt slow, even when no one else noticed. And that effort, that quiet consistency, that is worth celebrating. Think back to when you first started learning English. Maybe you didn't know how to form a full sentence. Maybe you felt nervous just saying, hello. Maybe you avoided speaking because you were afraid of making mistakes. But look at you now. You're listening to an English podcast. You're understanding more. You're showing up. That is progress. We often think progress has to be dramatic. Like waking up one day and suddenly speaking fluently. But that's not how real learning works. Real learning is slow. Real learning is quiet. Real learning is when you hear a word for the 5th time, and finally remember it. When you make the same mistake a dozen times, and then one day, you don't. When you stop being afraid to try. These things might feel small, but they're actually signs of massive growth. And if you don't pause to celebrate them, you miss the chance to feel proud. You miss the fuel that celebration gives you, the motivation to keep going. It's easy to get caught in comparison. You might see someone else who speaks more fluently or learns faster. And suddenly, your own progress feels invisible. But it's not. Just because someone else is farther along doesn't mean your journey doesn't matter. This is your story. And you've already come a long way. So today, I want to ask you a question: what can you celebrate? Maybe today you understood a full sentence without translating in your head. Maybe yesterday you had the courage to say something out loud, even if it wasn't perfect. Maybe last week you finished reading an article in English. Maybe this month you kept showing up, day after day, even when it felt tough. Those are all moments worth noticing. Worth smiling about. Worth being proud of. Celebration doesn't mean you're done. It doesn't mean you stop learning. It just means you recognize what's already working. You give yourself credit for your effort. You take a deep breath and say, I'm doing better than I thought. Because here's something powerful: when you celebrate your progress, you start to believe in yourself more. You start to feel more confident. You start to trust the process. And when you trust the process, learning becomes lighter. It becomes less about pressure and more about joy. And that's what I want for you. You are not just learning English, you're growing. You're becoming more open. More expressive. More brave. And that's something to celebrate, every single day. So don't wait for someone else to tell you you're doing great. Tell yourself. Because you are. Your progress is real. Your effort matters. And you have every reason to feel proud. Here's something I really want you to remember: you are doing something brave. Learning a new language isn't just about studying vocabulary or grammar rules, it's about putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. It's about trying to speak when you're nervous. It's about continuing, even when you feel slow, tired, or unsure. That takes courage. And if no one has said it to you lately, let me be the one to say it, I'm proud of you. It's time to reframe how we see learning. So many people only focus on results. How many words do I know? How fluent am I? Can I pass a test? But results aren't the full story. The real progress is happening inside you, in your mindset. In the way you bounce back from mistakes. In the way you say, okay, I didn't get it today, but I'll try again tomorrow. That kind of persistence. That's powerful. I once spoke with a learner who told me she cried after trying to speak English with someone and forgetting a simple word. She felt embarrassed and defeated. But do you know what I saw? I saw someone who tried. Someone who showed up. Someone who was willing to be uncomfortable, because she cared about improving. And that, to me, is worth celebrating more than any perfect sentence ever could be. Perfection is not the goal, progress is. And progress doesn't mean never making mistakes. It means you're not where you used to be. It means you're moving forward, step by step. And every small step matters. Let's take a moment right now. Think of 3 things you've done in English recently that you're proud of. Maybe it's understanding this podcast without reading the transcript. Maybe it's starting a conversation. Maybe it's reading an English book, or writing your first short paragraph. Whatever it is, pause and recognize it. Say it out loud if you can, I'm proud of this. That simple act, noticing your progress, can boost your confidence more than another hour of study. You don't need permission to feel good about your learning. You don't need a teacher to give you a gold star. You don't need a certificate to say you're improving. You already know you are, deep down, you feel it. And today is your reminder to honor that. To say, yes, I'm still learning, but wow, I've already learned so much. Sometimes, we're afraid to celebrate because we think it will make us lazy. But the opposite is true. When you feel proud, you feel energized. When you feel proud, you feel excited to keep going. Celebration doesn't stop progress, it fuels it. So let this episode be a little celebration. A moment to stop chasing the next big goal and just be in the now. Be in your current level. Be in your current effort. And appreciate it for what it is, a part of your beautiful, messy, inspiring English journey. You are growing. You are learning. You are doing better than you think. Sometimes the reason we forget to celebrate is because we think our wins are too small. It was just a short sentence. I still needed help. I only understood half the video. But progress doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. Every little step you take is a sign of movement. It's like climbing a mountain, even if you only move a few steps forward today, you're still closer to the top than you were yesterday. Don't let your inner critic tell you that you haven't done enough. That voice in your head that says, you're too slow, or, you should be better by now, that voice is not the truth. That voice is fear. And fear has a way of making you forget how far you've already come. Instead, try to speak to yourself like you would to a close friend. You would never say to a friend, you're not learning fast enough. You'd say, you're doing great. I'm proud of you. Keep going. So why not talk to yourself that way, too? There's also this belief that learning English should always feel hard, like if you're not struggling, you're not learning. But that's not true either. Sometimes the biggest progress happens when you're having fun. When you watch a show you love and laugh at a joke. When you sing along to a song. When you talk to someone and realize, wait, I didn't translate that sentence in my head. Those moments of ease are not accidents. They are signs that your brain is learning in the background. That you're becoming more fluent than you realize. And don't forget the emotional side of learning. English isn't just about rules, it's about expression. It's about using your voice to share your thoughts, your story, your personality. Every time you try, even when it's not perfect, you're strengthening that voice. You're learning how to be yourself in a new language. And that is something worth celebrating deeply. You might not always feel the progress while it's happening. But one day, you'll look back and say, wow. I remember when this was hard. And now I can do it. That moment of reflection is powerful. It connects all the quiet, invisible progress you've made, and it reminds you that none of your effort was wasted. So keep a journal. Write down your little wins. Save the messages you've written in English. Record your voice and listen again in a few months. You'll be amazed. You'll hear the difference. You'll feel it. And it will give you the energy to keep going. Your progress is not just about what you've learned. It's about what you've overcome. The fear of speaking. The worry about judgment. The frustration of forgetting. The doubt in your mind. And yet, here you are. Still learning. Still showing up. Still saying, this matters to me. That alone is worth celebrating. Here's something else to keep in mind. Not all progress can be measured in words per minute or grammar accuracy. Some of the most meaningful progress happens inside, in how you feel when you speak English. Maybe before, your hands would shake, your heart would race, and you'd avoid speaking at all. But now, even if you're still nervous, you try. You speak. That's emotional progress. That's confidence growing quietly under the surface. It's also a shift in identity. You're no longer just someone who's trying to learn English. You are an English learner. An English speaker. Someone who is part of a global conversation. Someone who can understand ideas in a second language, who can connect across cultures, countries, and communities. That's huge. That's life-changing. And sometimes, it's not even about how much English you know. It's about the effort you've put in. The discipline. The consistency. The small moments where you chose practice instead of quitting. That choice, again and again, is worth more than any score or certificate. Because that's what builds real skill. Real confidence. Real growth. Let's also celebrate the parts no one sees. The late-night study sessions, the times you replayed the same sentence 10 times to understand it, the courage it took to raise your hand in class or to hit send on a message in English. These moments don't make headlines, but they shape who you are becoming. And if today feels like a slow day, if you're tired or unmotivated, that's okay too. Progress isn't a straight line. Some days you climb. Some days you pause. Some days you rest. That doesn't mean you're moving backward. It means you're human. And every human journey has ups and downs. So don't be too hard on yourself. One of the most powerful things you can do is build a habit of recognition. Start noticing your wins. Start keeping track. Even the tiny ones. Especially the tiny ones. Because those small wins, they add up. They create momentum. They build belief. And over time, they become the foundation of your confidence. So the next time you catch yourself thinking, I'm not improving, pause. Look back. Remind yourself, you understand more than you did 6 months ago. You say things now you couldn't say before. You've faced fears, broken through doubts, and shown up again and again. That's worth celebrating. Because every bit of progress you've made, big or small, is not just a sign that you're learning English. It's a sign that you believe in yourself. And that belief, that's what will carry you forward. Sometimes we get so focused on where we want to be that we forget how far we've already come. It's easy to look ahead and see everything you still want to improve, the vocabulary you haven't learned yet, the conversations that still feel difficult, the times you freeze or forget a word. But imagine if you could talk to your past self, the version of you who was just beginning, who didn't know how to say even the simplest phrases. What would you tell them? You'd probably smile and say, "Look at you now. You're doing it. You didn't give up." And that's something worth honoring. Celebrating your progress doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means acknowledging that growth is happening even in the imperfect moments. It means noticing when you bounce back after making a mistake. It means realizing that you can now understand parts of conversations that once felt impossible. It means seeing your journey clearly, not through the lens of what's missing, but through the lens of what's been earned. You've earned this progress. Not by chance. Not by luck. But by showing up again and again, even on days when it felt hard. Even on days when you were tired, discouraged, or busy. You chose to keep learning. You chose to stay committed to your voice, your dreams, your goal of speaking English with confidence. And that choice, that quiet, powerful choice, deserves recognition. We live in a world that often celebrates perfection and speed, but real progress is much slower and quieter. It's built in the background, one decision at a time. One word at a time. One effort at a time. So if today you feel like your English isn't good enough yet, take a moment to ask yourself, compared to when? Compared to who? The only person you should compare yourself to is the version of you from yesterday. And if you've learned something, practiced something, or even just thought about English today, that's progress. The truth is, you don't need someone else to validate your improvement. You don't need a teacher to say, "Great job," or a certificate to tell you you're doing well. You have the power to recognize your own effort. To celebrate the courage it takes to learn in public. To be seen. To try. To speak. Even when it feels risky. Because learning English isn't just about the words you know, it's about the strength you build along the way. Strength to keep going when you feel stuck. Strength to ask questions. Strength to make mistakes and learn from them. That kind of strength doesn't show up in a textbook, but it shows up in you. Every single day. And the more you practice celebrating your progress, the easier it becomes to keep going. Why? Because celebration builds momentum. It shifts your mindset from, "I'm not there yet," to, "Look how far I've come." It helps you enjoy the journey instead of rushing through it. It turns learning into something joyful, not just something stressful. So wherever you are on your path today, whether you feel strong or shaky, confident or confused, pause for a moment. Breathe. Reflect. And celebrate the fact that you're still walking. Still learning. Still choosing growth. That is something truly, deeply, beautiful. And here's something else many learners forget: you don't have to wait until you're fluent to be proud. Pride doesn't come only at the end of the journey, it grows with the journey. Every single time you try, you're proving to yourself that you're brave. That you're someone who shows up, even when it's uncomfortable. Even when the words don't come out perfectly. That effort alone is something to celebrate, because not everyone is willing to face that challenge. But you are. Think of every moment you didn't give up, even when the sentence felt clumsy, even when someone corrected your grammar, even when you stumbled over a word. Those are your wins. Not the kind of wins that come with applause or gold stars, but the quiet, powerful kind. The kind that builds character. The kind that builds you. And when you start to recognize your own progress, something magical happens. You stop chasing perfection and start building confidence. You stop saying, "I'm not good enough yet," and you start saying, "I'm better than I was." That shift changes the way you walk into a room. The way you ask a question. The way you answer in English without panicking. It changes the way you carry yourself, with a little more calm, a little more trust, a little more pride. Celebrate how much more you understand today compared to last month. Celebrate how you used to be afraid to speak, but now you try anyway. Celebrate that time you helped someone in English, or ordered food, or understood a YouTube video without subtitles. These aren't small things. These are real, measurable signs that your brain, your courage, and your communication skills are growing, step by step. And you know what's really powerful? The moment you celebrate your own progress, you give permission to others to do the same. You stop being your own harshest critic and start becoming your own biggest supporter. That creates a ripple effect. It encourages other learners around you, your friends, your classmates, even strangers online, to feel okay about their progress too. And together, that builds a kinder, more supportive learning environment for everyone. Because the truth is, every English learner, no matter their level, is on a deeply personal journey. And that journey deserves respect. It deserves patience. And most of all, it deserves celebration. So today, don't just look ahead at how much more you want to learn. Look back. See the road you've walked. The effort you've made. The courage you've shown. Let that remind you of something incredibly important: you are not standing still. You are growing. And that growth deserves to be seen. Progress often hides in the everyday moments, the ones you overlook because they feel too ordinary. But those are the moments that matter most. When you choose to say something in English instead of staying silent. When you try to explain an idea even if it comes out slowly. When you listen to someone speaking quickly and catch just one or two words, that's progress. That's your brain stretching, adapting, building new connections. And the more you notice these wins, the more you fuel your own motivation. Celebrating progress doesn't mean ignoring the hard parts. It means looking at them honestly, and choosing to keep going anyway. It means saying, yes, I still struggle sometimes. But look at what I can do now that I couldn't do before. It means choosing pride over perfection. That shift isn't just motivational, it's transformational. Because when you believe you're improving, you're more likely to keep improving. And don't underestimate the emotional strength it takes to learn a language. It's not just about memory or pronunciation. It's about vulnerability. It's about being willing to sound different, to be corrected, to sometimes feel behind, and still choose to speak anyway. That takes courage. That takes resilience. That takes a kind of inner strength many people don't even realize they have. But you have it. And you're using it every time you practice. Every time you speak up. Every time you try. So take a moment today, right now, and think of 3 things you've done in English that you're proud of. Maybe they're small. Maybe they're recent. Maybe they happened a long time ago. But bring them to your mind. Hold them there. Let yourself feel proud. You've earned it. Because this journey isn't just about speaking another language, it's about becoming more confident, more courageous, more expressive. It's about discovering your own voice and learning to trust it. That's something worth celebrating not just today, but every day. Thank you so much for being here with me today on Easy Peasy English. I hope today's episode reminded you of something incredibly important: your progress matters. Not someday. Not only when you feel fluent. But right now. You're already doing something brave. You're showing up. You're learning. You're trying. And that deserves to be seen, appreciated, and celebrated. So take a breath, look back at how far you've come, and give yourself credit. You've earned it. Remember, learning English is not just about grammar or vocabulary, it's about growth, confidence, and heart. And you have all of that inside you. I'm proud of you for being here today, not just for listening, but for continuing to walk your path. Even on the hard days. Even when you doubt yourself. You are growing. You are learning. And that is worth celebrating. Until next time, keep learning, keep speaking, and most of all, keep being kind to yourself. Because your English doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. And the world needs to hear it. See you in the next episode of Easy Peasy English.